White ground technique is a style of ancient Greek vase painting in which figures appear on a white background. It developed in the region of Attica, dated to about 500 BC. It was especially associated with vases made for ritual and funerary use, if only because the painted surface was more fragile than in the other main techniques of black figure and red figure vase painting. Nevertheless, a wide range of subjects are depicted. Technique and style. In white ground pottery, the vase is covered with the light white slip of kaolinite. A similar slip had been used as carrier for vase paintings in the geometric and archaic periods. White ground vases were produced, for example, in Ionia, Laconia and on the Cycladic islands. But only in Athens did it develop into a veritable separate style beside black figure and red figure vase painting. For that reason, the term white ground pottery or white ground vase painting is usually used in reference to the Attic material only. The light slip was probably meant to make the vases appear more valuable, perhaps by eliciting associations with ivory or marble. However, in no case was the vessel's entire surface covered in white slip. It has also been conjectured that this form of painting emerged in order to emulate the more prestigious medium of wall painting, but the thesis has been elusive of proof. Furthermore, the group of 5 huge lekythoi are covered entirely in white slip, which suggests an imitation of marble lekythoi for funerary purposes. White ground vase painting often occurred in association with red figure vase painting. Especially typical of this are kylikes with a white ground interior and a red figure exterior image. White ground painting is less durable than black or red figure, which is why such vases were primarily used as votives and grave vessels. Types. The development of white ground vase painting took place parallel to that of the black and red figure styles. In the course of the development, 5 sub-styles can be noted. Early use. The earliest surviving example of the technique is a fragmentary canthros signed by the potter painter near Shows, California, 570 BC. It was found on the Athenian Acropolis. The technique was used to create strobing bands of color that emphasized the shape of the vase, and is associated with the workshops of Andokidis, Nikosthenes and BC.It. Type 1. The use of a white ground in conjunction with outline painting did not develop until some 50 years later, when black figure vase painting on white ground was probably introduced by the potter Nikosthenes around 530–525 BC. After a short interval, this technique was also adopted by other workshops, including that of BC.It. The manner of painting is the same as in conventional black figure, the color of the grounding being the only difference. The ground is rarely pure white but usually slightly yellowish or light beige. Type 2. A second form is monochrome silhouette drawing. Images are not created from reservation and painted internal detail, but from drawn outlines and painted internal detail. This style is used since the end of the 6th century BC, especially on cups, alabaster and lekythoi. Initially, the outline of the figures is executed in the form of a relief line, but from about 500 BC, this is increasingly replaced by painted yellowish-brown lines. The so-called semi-outline technique is a combination of the first and the second technique, used only in the first half of the 5th century BC, virtually exclusively on lekythoi and alabaster. Type 3. In the first quarter of the 5th century, the workshop of the potter Euphronios develops a 4-color painting style using a combination of shiny clay slip and mineral paints. The images are made up of outline drawings in shiny slip and colored areas in mineral paint. This style is used especially on pyxides and cups. Some details, such as fruit, jewelry, weaponry or vessels can be executed in clay slip in such a fashion as to attain a slight plasticity. Additionally, they may be gilded. The paints used are limited to tones of red and brown, yellow, white and black. Type 4. Early classical leucothos painting combined shiny slip mineral paints and non-ceramic mineral paints. This type developed in the second quarter of the 5th century BC. It was used in painting large grave leucothoi used in funerary cult. The images are mostly constructed of colored areas. Pure outline drawing is only used for the depiction of male bodies at this stage. Female bodies are rendered in white paint, clothing in black shiny slip mineral paints and occasionally non-ceramic paints such as cinnabarite or Egyptian blue. Many images depict scenes from women's life. Grave images are rare. The most important representative of this style is the Akiles Painter. Type 5. The fifth style was polychrome leucothos painting. It replaced early classical leucothos painting around the middle of the 5th century BC. By this time, white ground can be identified most closely with three principal shapes: the leucothos, the crater, and cups. Black shiny slip and white paint now disappeared from the paintings. Female bodies were again rendered as simple outline drawings. Non-ceramic mineral paints also ceased to be used. At the same time, several painters, starting with the Saburov painter, began to use red or blackish-gray matte paints instead of shiny slip. For the contours, only the contours are painted before firing. Other paints are applied afterwards. Therefore, the durability of such vase paintings is very limited. Many examples are badly preserved or completely worn. As a result, it is difficult to assess the depicted motifs. Grave scenes are predominant. Painters and distribution. Important classical white ground painters, in addition to the Akiles Painter and Saburov Painter, include the Thanatos Painter, the Bird Painter, the Square Painter, the Women Painter, the File Painter, as well as several representatives of Group R, including its eponymous Reed Painter. By the end of the century, some first attempts at shaded painting can be observed, influenced probably by contemporaneous panel painting. Notable in this regard is the group of the huge leucothoi, specialized in decorating large grave vessels. During the second half of the 5th century, white ground vase painting was used nearly exclusively for grave leucothoi. When the vase type went out of use around 400 BC, white ground vase painting also ceased. Later, during the Hellenistic period, various types of white ground pottery occur in several locations of the Greek world, sometimes painted monochrome, sometimes polychrome. They include Hadra-Vases, Picanosa vases and vases of the Centuripa type. Laganoi were often decorated in white ground technique. Bibliography. Donnerkert's Athenian white leucothoi. Patterns and Painters, Clarendon Press, Oxford 1975. Levesque Pierre, The Birth of Greece Discoveries, New York 1990. John Oakley, Picturing Death in Classical Athens. The Evidence of the White Leucothoi, Cambridge University Press, Cambridge 2004, ISBN 0-521-82016-2. E. Potier Etudes sur les Laïdes Blanches Antiques, 1883. Skoda, Raymond V. Masterpieces of Greek Art, New York Graphics Society. Irma Wetter-Gartner, Attische Weissgründige Keramik. Maltechniken, Werkstätten, Formen, Verwendung von Zabern, Mainz 1983, ISBN 3-8053-05656. Irma Wetter-Gartner, Weissgründige Vasenmalerei, in Der Neue Poli, Volume 12, cols 454-456. Woodford, Susan, An Introduction to Greek Art, New York, 1988. Von Bodmer, Dietrich. Greek Vase Painting, New York, The Metropolitan Museum of Art. ISBN 0870990845.